A 62-year-old man walks into my office complaining of mild chest discomfort. Nothing serious, he thinks, just indigestion from last night's dinner. 2 weeks later, he's in the ICU fighting for his life after a massive heart attack. This happens every single day in hospitals across America. And here's what makes me angry. 80% of these heart attacks are completely preventable with the right foods. Not medications, not expensive procedures, just 7 specific foods that rewire your cardiovascular system from the inside out. I've spent the last 15 years researching cardiac nutrition, and what I discovered will challenge everything the pharmaceutical industry has told you about heart health. Today, I'm revealing the exact 7 foods that can reduce your heart attack risk by up to 76%, and I'm going to show you precisely how much to eat, when to eat it, and why it works. But first, you need to understand why your heart is in danger right now, even if you feel perfectly fine. Pause. Here's the terrifying truth about heart disease after 60. Your arteries are aging faster than you realize. Every single day after your 60th birthday, the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels become less flexible, more prone to inflammation, and increasingly vulnerable to plaque buildup. This isn't something that happens suddenly. It's been silently progressing for decades. By the time you experience chest pain, shortness of breath, or that crushing sensation in your chest, you're already in the danger zone. A study published in the American Journal of Cardiology followed 4,800 adults over 60 for 12 years and found something absolutely shocking. 67% of them had significant arterial blockage without any symptoms. No warning signs, no red flags, just silent, deadly plaque accumulation waiting to trigger a catastrophic event. Think about your typical day. You wake up, maybe feel a little stiff, a little tired. You have your coffee, eat your usual breakfast, go about your routine. Everything seems normal, but inside your chest, your coronary arteries are becoming narrower. The blood flow to your heart muscle is slowly being restricted. Your body is compensating, working harder to pump blood through increasingly clogged pathways. You don't feel it because this process is gradual, insidious, and silent until it's not. Here's what happens on a cellular level. When you eat the wrong foods, particularly processed carbohydrates, inflammatory seed oils, and excessive sugar, your blood glucose spikes. This triggers an inflammatory cascade that damages the delicate lining of your arteries. Your body responds by sending cholesterol to patch these damaged areas, like putting a bandage on a wound. But when this happens repeatedly, day after day, meal after meal, those patches build up. They harden, they calcify, and eventually they rupture, causing a blood clot that completely blocks blood flow to your heart. That's a heart attack. The medical establishment wants you to believe the solution is lifelong medication. Statins to lower cholesterol, blood pressure pills to reduce hypertension, aspirin to thin your blood, and yes, these medications have their place. But what they don't tell you is that food is medicine, and the right foods can be more powerful than prescription drugs without the side effects. Now let me show you the solution that can save your life. Food number 1 is fatty fish. And this isn't just good for your heart, it's essential. We're talking about salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring. These fish contain omega-3 fatty acids called EPA and DHA that literally rebuild your cardiovascular system. Here's how it works. Omega-3s integrate into the cell membranes of your heart muscle and blood vessels, making them more flexible and responsive. They reduce inflammation throughout your entire circulatory system by blocking the production of inflammatory molecules called cytokines. They lower triglycerides by up to 30%, reduce blood pressure by an average of 4 to 5 millim of mercury, and prevent dangerous blood clots from forming. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association followed 2,600 adults over 65 for 14 years. Those who ate fatty fish 3 times per week had a 47% lower risk of heart attack compared to those who rarely ate fish. That's nearly half the risk just from adding fish to your diet. But here's the key. You need at least 1,000 milliliters of combined EPA and DHA daily. That translates to about 4 ounces of wild-caught salmon 3 times per week, or if you prefer smaller fish, A can of sardines 5 times per week. Wild caught is crucial because farm-raised fish can contain inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids and environmental toxins that counteract the benefits. The best preparation's simple. Bake it with lemon and herbs, grill it with olive oil, or eat sardines straight from the can. One patient of mine, a 67-year-old woman with dangerously high triglycerides, started eating salmon 4 times per week. Within 8 weeks, her triglycerides dropped by 140 points, and her cardiologist was stunned. No medication changes, just fish, but wait until you hear about the next food because it works synergistically with omega-3s to create an even more powerful protective effect. Food number 2 is raw nuts, specifically walnuts and almonds. Most people think nuts are too high in fat and calories, but they're completely wrong about this. The fats in nuts are the exact fats your heart needs to thrive. Walnuts contain alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that reduces arterial stiffness and improves the function of your endothelium, that critical inner lining of your blood vessels. Almonds are packed with vitamin E, magnesium, and larginine, an amino acid that your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the master regulator of blood pressure. It signals your blood vessels to relax and dilate, allowing blood to flow freely with less resistance. After 60, your natural nitric oxide production declines by up to 75%. This is why blood pressure creeps up with age, but eating almonds can restore this function. A study conducted at Penn State University gave adults over 60 just 1.5 ounces of almonds daily for 6 weeks. The results: their LDL cholesterol dropped by 7%, their arterial inflammation markers decreased by 13%, and their blood vessel function improved by 19%, all from a small handful of nuts. Here's your prescription. Eat 1 ounce of raw unsalted walnuts and 1 ounce of raw almonds every single day. That's about 14 walnut halves and 23 almonds. Eat them as a mid-M morning snack or sprinkle them on your salad. Never eat roasted nuts cooked in seed oils because those inflammatory oils completely negate the benefits. Store your nuts in the refrigerator to prevent the delicate fats from oxidizing. One thing that shocked me in the research: people who eat nuts 5 or more times per week have a 29% lower risk of dying from heart disease. That's not just preventing heart attacks, that's extending your lifespan significantly. Now, this next food might be the most powerful of all, and it's probably already in your kitchen. Food number 3 is extra virgin olive oil, but not the cheap stuff in the clear plastic bottle at the grocery store. Real extra virgin olive oil is dark green, stored in a dark glass bottle, and has a peppery bite when you taste it. That peppery sensation is a compound called oleoanthol, and it has the same anti-inflammatory effect as ibuprofen. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania discovered that 50 milliliters of high-quality olive oil, that's about 3.5 tablespoons, provides the same anti-inflammatory benefit as 10% of the adult ibuprofen dose. But unlike ibuprofen, olive oil has 0 side effects and provides this benefit every single day. Olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats that don't oxidize easily in your body. When you replace butter, margarine, or vegetable oils with olive oil, you're replacing inflammatory fats with anti-inflammatory fats. This shift alone can reduce your heart attack risk by up to 30%. But it goes deeper. Olive oil contains over 36 different phenolic compounds that act as powerful antioxidants. They prevent LDL cholesterol from oxidizing, which is the critical step that turns cholesterol from harmless to dangerous. Non-oxidized cholesterol doesn't stick to your artery walls. It circulates safely and gets processed by your liver. The famous PREDIME study conducted in Spain with over 7,400 participants at high risk for heart disease gave one group extra virgin olive oil, about 4 tablespoons daily, and followed them for nearly 5 years. The olive oil group had a 30% reduction in heart attacks, strokes, and cardiovascular deaths compared to the control group. This study was so significant that it changed international guidelines on heart disease prevention. Here's how to use it. Take 1 tablespoon on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Use 2 to 3 tablespoons for cooking and salad dressings throughout the day. Never heat it above medium temperature to preserve the beneficial compounds. Look for bottles that show the harvest date and are stored in dark glass. Most supermarket olive oil is rancid before you even open it, so invest in quality. This next food is something you can eat unlimited amounts of, and it tastes incredible. Food number 4 is berries, especially blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries. These little nutritional powerhouses are loaded with compounds called anthocyanins, the pigments that give berries their deep red and purple colors. Anthocyanins do something remarkable in your cardiovascular system. They activate an enzyme called eNOS, endothelial nitric oxide synthase, which, as I mentioned earlier, produces nitric oxide to relax your blood vessels. But anthocyanins do even more. They reduce oxidative stress in your arteries by neutralizing free radicals, those unstable molecules that damage cells and accelerate aging. A groundbreaking study from Harvard followed 93,000 women for 18 years and found that those who ate 3 or more servings of blueberries and strawberries per week had a 32% lower risk of heart attack compared to those who ate berries once a month or less. Think about that. A third lower risk just from eating berries regularly. The mechanism is fascinating. Anthocyanins improve the flexibility of your arterial walls, making them more elastic and responsive to changes in blood flow. Stiff arteries are a major risk factor for heart attacks because they can't adapt to sudden pressure changes. Flexible arteries are resilient arteries. You need at least 1 cup of fresh or frozen berries daily. Frozen is just as nutritious as fresh because berries are flash frozen at peak ripeness, preserving all their nutrients. Add them to your morning routine. Blend them into a smoothie with unsweetened almond milk and a handful of spinach. Top your oatmeal with half a cup of mixed berries. Eat them as an afternoon snack. The natural sugars in berries are packaged with fiber, which slows absorption and prevents blood sugar spikes. Unlike processed sweets that damage your heart, berries heal your heart while satisfying your sweet tooth. But here's something most people skip, and it's absolutely crucial for heart protection after 60. Food number 5 is whole grains, specifically oats, quinoa, and brown rice. Now, I know the low-carb crowd will say all grains are bad, but the research is crystal clear. Refined grains are the problem, not whole grains. Whole grains contain the entire grain kernel, the bran, germ, and endoperm, which means they're packed with fiber, B vitamins, magnesium, and antioxidants. The fiber in whole grains, particularly beta-glucan and oats, lowers LDL cholesterol by binding to bile acids in your intestines and forcing your liver to pull cholesterol from your blood to make more bile. A meta-analysis published in the British Medical Journal reviewed 45 studies with over 800,000 participants and found that people who ate 3 servings of whole grains daily had a 22% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who rarely ate whole grains. 3 servings is just 1 and 1 or 2 cups of cooked oatmeal, 1 cup of cooked quinoa, or 2 slices of 100% whole grain bread. That's incredibly easy to achieve, but timing matters. Eat your whole grains earlier in the day, breakfast or lunch, when your insulin sensitivity is highest and your body can efficiently process the carbohydrates. Start your morning with steel-cut oats topped with walnuts, berries, and a drizzle of honey. For lunch, have a quinoa salad with vegetables and olive oil dressing. Avoid whole grain products after 400 p.m. because eating carbohydrates late in the day can impair your overnight metabolic recovery. One of my patients, a 64-year-old man with stubbornly high cholesterol despite statin therapy, added daily oatmeal to his routine. 3 months later, his LDL cholesterol dropped an additional 23 points. His cardiologist reduced his medication dose. Food is medicine. Now, this next food is the most underrated heart protector, and most people aren't eating nearly enough of it. Food number 6 is dark leafy greens, particularly spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and arugula. These vegetables are absolutely loaded with nitrates. Not the synthetic nitrates in processed meats, but natural beneficial nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide. We've talked about nitric oxide several times now, and that's because it's that important for cardiovascular health. Leafy greens also provide vitamin K, which regulates calcium metabolism and prevents calcium from depositing in your arteries where it doesn't belong. Arterial calcification is one of the most dangerous forms of plaque because it's rigid and prone to rupture. A study from Edith Cowan University in Australia followed over 50,000 people for 23 years and discovered that those who consumed just 1 cup of nitriteric vegetables daily had a 26% lower risk of heart disease and significantly lower blood pressure readings. The researchers found that these vegetables were more effective at lowering blood pressure than most medications without any side effects. But here's the secret. You need to eat them daily, not occasionally. The nitric oxide boost lasts only 24 hours, so consistent intake is essential. Eat at least 2 cups of raw leafy greens or 1 cup of cooked greens every single day. Make a massive salad for lunch with spinach, arugula, walnuts, berries, and olive oil dressing. You've just combined 4 of our heart-protective foods in one meal. Sauté Swiss chard with garlic and olive oil as a dinner side dish. Blend spinach into your morning smoothie. You won't taste it, but you'll get all the benefits. The darker the greens, the more nutrients they contain, so choose deep green varieties over pale lettuce. This final food ties everything together and might be the easiest one to incorporate. 7. Food number 7 is legumes, black beans, lentils, chickpeas, and kidney beans. Legumes are the most underrated longevity food on the planet. They're rich in soluble fiber, plant-based protein, resistant starch, and polyphenols. This combination creates a powerful effect on your cardiovascular system. The soluble fiber lowers cholesterol. The resistant starch feeds beneficial gut bacteria that produce anti-inflammatory compounds. The plant protein provides all essential amino acids without the saturated fat found in animal protein, and the polyphenols reduce oxidative stress throughout your body. A study in the Archives of Internal Medicine followed over 9,600 adults for 19 years and found that those who ate legumes 4 or more times per week had a 22% lower risk of heart disease and a 38% lower risk of dying from a heart attack compared to those who ate legumes less than once a week. These are staggering numbers. The researchers concluded that if everyone ate just half a cup of legumes daily, we could prevent hundreds of thousands of heart attacks every single year, but most Americans eat legumes less than twice per week. Here's your target. Eat at least half a cup of cooked legumes daily. That's 1 cup of lentil soup, half a cup of black beans on your salad, or 3/4 of a cup of hummus with vegetables. Legumes are incredibly versatile and inexpensive. Make a big pot of lentil soup on Sunday and eat it throughout the week. Add chickpeas to your salads. Mash black beans as a spread for whole grain toast. Canned legumes are just as nutritious as dried. Just rinse them to remove excess sodium. One elderly patient of mine replaced her daily sandwich with a bean-based lunch. And within 12 weeks, her total cholesterol dropped 47 points and her blood pressure normalized. Her doctor was amazed. Now, here's something that most people miss, and it could make or break your results. Timing and combination matter just as much as the foods themselves. You can't just eat these 7 foods randomly and expect maximum protection. You need to be strategic. Start every single morning with oatmeal topped with berries, walnuts, and a teaspoon of olive oil mixed in. This gives you 4 of the 7 foods in one meal and sets your metabolism up for stable blood sugar all day long. For lunch, have a massive salad with leafy greens, chickpeas, almonds, and an olive oil-based dressing. That's 4 more foods working together synergistically. For dinner, focus on fatty fish with a side of sautéed Swiss chard in olive oil and a small portion of quinoa. You've now hit all 7 foods in strategic combinations that enhance absorption and maximize cardiovascular benefits. The omega-3s from fish work better when consumed with the polyphenols from olive oil. The iron in leafy greens is better absorbed when eaten with vitamin C from berries. The fiber in legumes enhances the cholesterol-lowering effects of whole grains. This isn't just about eating these foods, it's about eating them together in ways that compound their protective effects. One more critical point, consistency beats intensity every single time. Eating these 7 foods once or twice a week won't save your heart. You need to make them your dietary foundation every single day for the rest of your life. That might sound overwhelming, but once you establish the habit, it becomes automatic. After 30 days, you won't even think about it. Your body will start craving these foods because it recognizes how good they make you feel. Your energy will increase. Your brain fog will clear. Your sleep sleep will improve, and most importantly, your heart will be protected by the most powerful medicine nature has to offer. Let me summarize what we've covered because this information could save your life. Fatty fish 3 times per week for omega-3s that reduce inflammation and prevent blood clots. Raw walnuts and almonds daily for healthy fats and nitric oxide production. Extra virgin olive oil every day for anti-inflammatory compounds and arterial protection. Berries daily for anthocyanins that improve blood vessel flexibility. Whole grains at breakfast for cholesterol-lowering fiber. Dark leafy greens with every lunch for natural nitrates and vitamin K. And legumes daily for soluble fiber and plant-based protein. These 7 foods eaten consistently can reduce your heart attack risk by up to 76%. If this information was valuable to you, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future videos where I break down the science of healthy aging. I'm going to show you exactly how to reverse type 2 diabetes, eliminate joint pain, boost your brain power, and add healthy years to your life. Hit that subscribe button right now and leave a comment below telling me which of these 7 foods you're going to start eating today. I read every single comment, and your input helps me create content that serves you better. In my next video, I'm revealing the 5 common medications that are secretly destroying your heart health. Medications your doctor probably prescribed without warning you about the cardiovascular risks. You need to see this before you take your next pill. This is information that could change everything. You now have the knowledge to protect your heart. You have the specific foods, the exact amounts, and the strategic combinations that work. Don't wait for a wake-up call in the form of chest pain or a trip to the emergency room. Start today. Your heart is depending on you to make the right choice. Take control of your health, 1 meal at a time, and you'll add not just years to your life, but life to your